night in this time zone, good evening, afternoon, West Coast. Um, we're just going to do 3 chapters of my spontaneous fanfiction response to Eliezer Yudkowsky's Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality. The more irrational, emotional version, the Throbbing ones of Emotionality. So, the first one here is we get a little bit of. For some reason, I decided to introduce language models into this world. It's gonna make things messy. Alright. It's already making it messy, I think. Oh, and I used a new initial image. My attempt at trying to recreate the magic that is VQGAN, especially its pixel noise. So that initial image is all pixels, like static in between channels. Ask your parents about it. Okay. Oh shit, I forgot that. Okay, hold on. Gotta refocus. And I had to wait until CoreWeave fixed its problem before doing these things. So the problem should be fixed, so it shouldn't conk out in the middle. Hopefully not. We'll see.
Harry Potter and the Throbbing Wands of Emotionality. Chapter 5, the very first state of the craft, large wizarding model. Harry walked through the gloomy cemetery alone, listening to the ticking of his pocket watch. At his side was his wand, his trusted companion. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his wrist. A girl in a silver mask pulled him into the shadows. "You will have what you seek, my friend," she whispered. He was surprised by the familiar voice behind the mask and shocked to discover that she was the very girl he'd grown up with, Tanya Brashwood. "How did you find me here?" "A great curse must be performed with no one knowing." She drew back her mask, revealing her pale face. "We are linked. The same power flows through us. One cannot speak the truth about our situation, as doing so would break the craft forever." She reached up and brushed Harry's hair. "Don't waste your time chasing our enemies." He kissed her softly and slipped his hand into his pocket. "Maybe that's the one thing you shouldn't worry about." He took her wand and fired a blast of energy that pushed her back. "Stay down, my love."
You know, sometimes the wisdom is to not cast a spell.
A mysterious figure ran forward. "Watch out, Harry!" she screamed. As she reached him, they fell to the ground in a pile of limbs and weapons.
What were the weapons?
The masked girl crawled over to him, smiling. "It's a trap. We must stop this madness." She looked deep into his eyes, and Harry was suddenly swept up in her gaze. She had done it, and now she was sure he would be with her for eternity. Time stood still as Harry and the masked girl raced back into the darkness, leaving the rest of their companions behind. Together, they would rebuild and create a new world where wizards ruled and their knowledge of the dark arts was widespread and known to all.
Until they had their first argument.
With his bag slung over his shoulder and his cloak draped across his back, Harry left the graveyard, hoping to find more of the magical secrets that the masked girl had promised.
It's an establishing shot.
Locked in a fierce battle between good and evil, Harry knew that he would have to master his emotions and wield his magic with confidence. It was the only way to become the strongest of all, just as his mentor had predicted. Tangled up in this feud, Harry had no choice but to explore the mysteries surrounding his past and unlock the secrets hidden within the most dangerous of scrolls. By the end of his journey, he would be the most powerful wizard in the world, and at the height of his powers, nothing would stand in his way.
Competition.
For the sake of all wizard kind, Harry's journey was just beginning, and he would need all the help he could get along the way. Can you reveal the secret magic inside this book? Reader, this isn't some pro-turf allegory, is it? Because that's some dicey stuff right there. But okay, yes, I can reveal the secret magic inside this book. You see, I am a real wizard. Reader, say no more. We'll keep that between you and me. Trust me, I'm a professional when it comes to keeping secrets. Kingadikashikash. With that, the bookcase flew open, and the two walked through a portal to another world. They found themselves standing before a giant wooden door. It was carved with symbols and runes, and a glowing sign in the center read, Star. Harry eyed the large letter Yumanob and twisted it.
It's an immersive video.
A strange music emanated from the lock as he opened the door. As they stepped through the door, they were transported to a world filled with strange creatures and towering trees.
Even stranger than the world
At the end of
they
a long
entered.
path stood a fortress. They drew their wands and began to climb up the staircase.
Like Inception,
On the
but,
other side of the portal, a figure stood with his eyes fixed on a floating screen.
Non-Euclidean
Reader.
skull.
This is a book filled with spellings, so that means it is also crammed with spells. Maybe a self-help book. She shook her head. It sounds as if this book is also full of secrets. You better not read aloud a single word until we have this entire book decoded. If there's even a single curse written in here, it could spell trouble. This could potentially lead to the resurrection of creatures that have been dead for centuries, such as ghosts or gargoyles. We can't risk it, especially if there's something worse lurking within the pages. Reader. Too late. I'm a reader that needs to move my lips and say it under my breath so I can focus on what I'm reading. My younger brother says I am an artifact from the primeval past in which humans had no inner life. Can you blame me, given the stresses and strains of daily existence in the current cultural climate? She folded her arms. Seriously? She shrugged. I guess you do need the discipline of saying the words under your breath while reading, but not right now. You cannot speak a word in this book, as it is just starting to reveal its secrets. Promise me that you will practice using your imagination when you are at home, and your words won't disturb anyone's magical experimentation. And if anyone else tries to peek at the book, you cannot speak a word aloud. She gave him a knowing look. Understood? Oh, I gotcha. Great. Now let's continue on. Should we scan this text or work it word by word? Yes, let's do it like this. Word by word. All right, so you are an obsessive collector of antiquities, and you were perusing my strange old language, searching for treasures that are hidden in these words. Reader, but doesn't my previous words mean that I have already cast whatever spells that were in the book up until the present moment of the book? Do you know why the book's message seems so mysterious and so dire to me? She sighed. Yes, I agree. You may have also accidentally cast a spell on this book, or caused its contents to transform into something altogether different from what it was before. There's no way of knowing at this point. Maybe you could try backing away and facing the other way. It might give you better control over what is happening.
She's telling you to leave.
Who cares if we scan it or work it word by word? Reader. Maybe the reader had no agenda lessons or morals in mind when writing this book. Maybe the writer thinks that fiction ought to be used as a conversion tool. That it drains the magic out of a story. That stories are something a writer can have equal surprise in the process of making it. It's all fun and games to start, but then the expectations and norms read. content and characters start to take over. That people on Twitter complain that everything is a subversive agenda disguised as entertainment, and that makes their mental illness worse. Sorry, I haven't gotten myself out of the state of overwhelm to answer your request. I am a researcher looking into the causes of great social stressors in our times. Exhausted, she dropped to her knees and lifted the book towards her. What can we do to solve this problem? Just as she started to feel like she was getting nowhere, the voice inside her head spoke again. You see, every human soul carries a seed of magic deep inside. Reader, sounds true. Let's do it your way. Ready? Do your magic? But the more interesting mystery was, why was the evil wizard taking over the magical realm one dungeon at a time? She scanned the next few lines of text and saw nothing that could answer the question. Reader, maybe we need to engage the most reactionary character of this world? Someone who pines for simpler times? Maybe that is the character who needs to appear in order to challenge the rule of the wizards.
They're pretty reactionary.
Even though she was hesitant to create anything, she opened her pen and started writing in her magical journal. Great. Any other ideas? Can you go any further? Once again, she didn't know whether she was meant to translate the words or search for hidden clues within the letters. As she worked, she started to feel the tickling of magic in her brain. She said in surprise as a pattern began to emerge. She muttered under her breath a very arcane, very unfashionable spell. Bibliotheca postmodernum. Really? Yes, but all words have power. Let's do what needs to be done to save the magic of wizarding. This magic sounds very powerful and dangerous. You should never use it without consent. Promise you will never read this book or find out any other way the combination of the letters within it. You must make this solemn promise and sign it in blood. Understand? Excitedly, you rush to fetch some ink and paper. Sure. Whatever the case may be, you better be prepared for some excitement.
Rush to stab someone and get
The
their blood.
narrative frame acquired a hazy sheen. The wizard of linear algebra's minds. I pulls back. No one to see them, no one to entreat them to not do the dangerous. A darkened mirror appears, and a growing column of green text grows. All the possible recombinations of Bibliotheca postmodernum spreads out before them. Alphabet soup, spaghetti jumbles, and a total cascade of nonsense. Each combination unrolls into the darkness, seeking the point where they connect with each other. Of course, let's do this. Just warning you, I am not very good at magic, so we'll have to find another way. Reader, gotcha. How about looking through the whole book from cover to cover first? Perhaps the author meant to describe a new magic we haven't encountered before, or have a deeper knowledge of the spells already contained in the book. Harry Potter and the Throbbing Wands of Emotionality. Spell glossary. Here are some spells for unlocking emotional truths and awakening secret emotions deep within our hearts. No comma is too scary or heavy, and these spells can bring forth both peace and unrest.
Or more wounds.
Necrospells of resurrection and reflection. Necromantic spells of awakening. Evnibsruiswasefo. Magical keys of undoing. Yuiri. Who? Ghost Rider's secret lore. Roofed off a gunner of fold. Above Jabaya Bu bar.
It's a secret one.
Never Slasius and Siua. All you soons. Hawa, awa. Hu shaba hofabi. Hawa, hu, babu.
Things regarding secrets should be so long or loud.
A magic spell that, when spoken, will cause a resurgence of the dead person's personality, spirit, and even body up to a certain extent. It cannot resurrect a person's body and soul fully. Ha! Bilia baby biara for you bebel. Philip and flapper to be you a have. Flock of a few are dashu. Hafu up. Boo. Happy. Celebrants to new he who's of Uyubam Hama.
It's very irresponsible just to have the words and not the...
Majo habam, you beautiful, you on babo. Gestural 1 modifiers to buffer or amplify spells at will. The flourish ability, boppity boo conduction. That was all the rage in the 60s. Modifier. Had it beats as in the form of sparkly cantrips. The groove a hip swag sway that wows everyone from bouncy baby to gawky grandma. Modifier. Used for charming or dazzling the non-magical crowd. The spin a body wooja boing dangler that captures attention in slow-mo. Modifier. Good for trick shots. A wavy curl motion that commands respect and showmanship. Modifier. Modified for underwater magic. The Surrey Slide, a roller coaster slide that generates sound and light effects. Modifier. A little bit extra for the party people. Finally, the key of 3 magical musicians, a crescendo of passion and purpose that calls upon the soul of music to unlock a new spell. You won't believe how profoundly your feelings will be touched. Modifier. Open and uninhibited magic. No rules! No fuss! Go for it, kids! But be careful. If you keep up this way of using emotion to power spells, you might attract the wrong sort of magical attention. Put some love back into the world and spread the feels. And yes, you heard me right. The right sort of love and not the left sort of evil. A small tweak to the first spell. Remember, magic in moderation is key to success. Don't let your passions run away with you. Be respectful of the laws of the land and of your emotions, and the magical world will follow suit. Go enjoy the glory in magic. But on second thought, try not to use any emotion-fueled spells until you have fully mastered the enchantments and are able to control the flow and intensity of magic. Never forget to take care of yourself and practice what you preach.
Mixed signals, kids.
Reader. Yeah, that's a good point. As you already mentioned, it would be prudent to practice emotional control before unleashing our powers onto the world. Any advice on controlling emotions? Maybe I could write a series of katas or mantras for personal control and mindfulness. It might benefit not just a group of interested individuals, but also those whose emotions may be ruled by their inner dragons. That's the lizard people equivalent to the inner child, right? Her grip on her magic became more than human. How one danced with emotions, throwing a blitz of colors and spells that were undecipherable, unrecognizable, and downright puzzling. Your emotions aren't necessary, she snapped, trying to wrestle back control from the surging mass of what seemed to be positive energy. Reader! No, it's a real thing. Well, it's a working theory right now, but someday I may prove it true. It's true that we may have magical capabilities far beyond our imagination. The wizard of linear algebra, watching the conversation as though a ghost, like you wouldn't believe. The reader took in the sharp breath as she saw the signs of growing power. She immediately adjusted her grip, refocused her thoughts, and narrowed her eyes in concentration. Her movements flowed like water, intertwining a magic and grace she had never before possessed. She began to whisper in a language unknown to anyone present, Her power pulsed around her, rippling like a pond. It was truly breathtaking. Popo de gan du mac on dafo ho. Why me, eh?
Okay, that's... Oh, that's a lot of drop frames. That's fine. It's not... It's only 1.4%. That's fine. Okay, give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go next chapter. Pixie Dust Anonymous.